Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video, we are looking at Micron Technology. It is time for another update. And on this chart, we have been tracking this idea of a 1-2 setup where we were looking to get a follow-up within a larger wave tree. Now, of course, every larger wave tree begins with an initial wave 1. And we were tracking exactly this within the white interpretation where we would have actually assumed a possible top even within this initial push here in a wave 1 to the upside. And we were looking for a wave 2 correction. Now, clearly, this did not play out. We did not get into the area of support and we extended to much higher prices, where right now we could still assume of this to form a larger wave 1 to the upside. It is still very much a possible interpretation. But even within this scenario right now, we would still be looking for further extensions as we are tracking a wave C of a fifth wave that does look quite incomplete. I would actually need at least one additional substantial push to the upside after a larger correction to even have a full count and be able to track such an idea. Now, of course, since we have such a strong movement, such a driven impulse to the upside within this area, we cannot discard the idea of a potential series of 1-2 setups to have formed instead, where actually even here we have a 1-2, 1-2, another 1-2, 1-2 setup, and then this would be our larger 1-2, third, fourth, and the fifth that would be expected to form our third wave to the upside. Normally, when we build such a pattern, it is rather likely that it becomes so unrealistic, it drives expectations out so much that it ends up folding just a diagonal structure and we form a top sooner rather than later. But as I was mentioning, based on the structure we have internally within this push, we are able to track such an interpretation. It remains valid, and not only that, it might even become a preferred scenario here once we actually have the entire wave 3 complete. We will have an area of support to track for a wave 4 correction and continuation higher. Yeah. Now, this is why we are going to focus primarily on the yellow interpretation, but as long as we don't extend after a correction in a wave 4, in a fifth wave to the upside, the white scenario still remains a valid interpretation. Now, internally, within this area, we have been looking even for an initial 1-2 setup. Of course, even the internal wave 3 would be expected to begin with a 1-2 setup, and we have been tracking an area of support and such an idea, but we actually didn't reach such levels. We didn't get into our area of support. And that is something that occasionally happens. Nothing really we can control about it, nothing we can really do. I don't believe we should be looking for a position at every single opportunity outside of the area of support, just because sometimes it will push out before it even reaches it. For every instance where this happens, 1,000 other attempts would not even hold the area of support and you would be stuck in a position where you would be deep within the area of support and you would still not be able to tell that it has failed, where you have bought even long before you entered it, yeah? And you would either be stuck with a loser while you're going lower and lower, or you would have to sell at a significant loss, as the level for the probability shift would have been way too far away for you to consider to even take a loss on that. And you could be thinking, well, I've already waited so long, I might as well just buy more in a sunk cost fallacy situation, and you would end up even failing to hold the area of support, because it does happen at times. Now, nonetheless, we have succeeded in pushing to the upside. We are tracking this as a 1-2 and a third wave up, where I believe this third wave would be expected to still extend further. Now, this area of support would need to be adjusted since we did push higher since the previous video. And I still believe we should be prepared for even further extensions. Now, to be honest, I could allow this to go even from the beginning of this entire wave to the upside to track the lowest level of support. So here we are watching for continuation to the upside, and I cannot see this chart as bearish as long as we hold the 50% retracement at the $217.6. Yeah, against that level, we are looking still for continuation higher. And right now, I'm focusing still on an extension internally within this wave 3. In the previous video, I did mention that this could unfold in a couple of scenarios. So I could be looking at this to have been part of the wave 3 to the upside. I could see this to be the top of the wave 3 and have here instead a 1-2 setup and the third wave unfold to the upside here. Now, I won't make too many assumptions of which pattern should be more likely, because I'm tracking an impulse internally. If we fail to build this structure, I will know that we would instead be tracking an ending diagonal within this movement as a fifth wave instead, and I would be looking for an according area of support. For now, I believe we have just seen, even internally within this pattern, an extension of the wave 3. We can still track a wave 4 correction and an extension even higher within a 5th wave in this internal structure. And now the area of support will need to be adjusted from the $406 all the way down to the $356.6. As long as we hold the 50% retracement in orange, we can still track continuation to the upside even within an internal wave 3 in this area. If it weren't for the internal patterns of this movement, I would have actually even preferred to track this as the actual wave 3 to the upside, but since we have an overlap here between a supposed wave 1 and a correction in a wave 4, I have to strongly assume that this is not the correct pattern, as within an impulse, which if this is a wave 3, it must be an impulse, we cannot have overlap between the wave 1 and the wave 4. Now remember, this could still unfold as a larger 1, 2, 3rd, 4th, and 5th within an ending diagonal. I cannot discard that scenario, unfortunately, in which case, yeah, we could be seeing here form a 1, 2, 3rd, 4th, and the 5th within this idea of an ending diagonal in the wave C. Now, nonetheless, we have already gotten to the area of support basically, so in either scenario, I would be able to look for a bottom already and for continuation to higher prices. I personally wouldn't even expect a very large correction within this area in terms of duration, but we need to be a little bit flexible as it is within a very small time frame and distortions do happen, especially in such cases. Now, clearly, we have started a more substantial correction. I'm still looking for an impulse to form against the $356.6 level. And if we fail to hold that area, I would strongly assume that this pattern might be looking at an extension instead. Although, I have to say, a top within the wave 3 would not be out of the question. And in the end, I would have plenty of levels of support to track for continuation higher. If we happen to break the area of support in orange and we don't reach the levels of support in blue, I would need an initial 5-wave move to the upside to have some sort of confirmation that a more significant bottom would be in place. So yeah, we have here a gap between the $356 down to the $321, but I wouldn't think too much of it. It's kind of a dead area to me where, again, I would be looking for confirmation before I would even consider a position in such a case. But for now, yeah, we are tracking still continuation to higher prices. This chart is nothing if not bullish. And if we want, we can take here a quick peek into the internal structure, but it will be within such a small time frame that the distortions could occur and I wouldn't necessarily look too much into it. You know, we can track here. We can see that we have practically 3 separate waves to the downside. I would consider here to have even a potential 3rd wave where, yeah, an impulse could actually still work out. But again, I wouldn't look too much into those structures. Too small of a time frame, we don't have enough structural data as of yet, and if this changes, we can do another update, but for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead, and until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.